Welcome, Guardians, to another episode of the DTR podcast. I am your host, Jay, the content manager here at Tracker Network. And joining me this week is my wonderful friend and co-host, Jay Rambo, 9119. Jay Rambo, what's up, man?
Good evening or morning or afternoon, wherever you guys are.
Welcome, welcome. Our special guest this week is XHOUNDISHx. XHOUNDISHx, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us this week. I know it's late where you are, so thank you so much for staying up with us.
It's an absolute pleasure, guys.
I appreciate you having me on. You're what, 5 hours ahead of us Eastern time?
Yeah, it's like 10 to 1 in the morning.
I was gonna say, yeah, it should be about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, wow.
It's getting there.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this week, man.
It's a pleasure, dude.
All right, so
appreciate it.
We have a ton of things to talk about tonight. We are going to be going through 4 articles tonight. The first one will be from Jason Schreier. He is the news editor at Kotaku, and we're going to be talking about some Anthem news in that article because there's some really great news in there that we do have to talk about. The next article is actually going to be from Paul Tassi. I hope I'm saying his name right, his last name right. I apologize, Paul, if I am saying it wrong.
I think you are.
I hope I am. That article is we are going to talk about his main concern for Anthem, which I didn't even think about. So I'm really excited for us to talk about that. And then we're going to dive into the TWAB as always, because there's a lot of juicy info in that. And then our last article will be the CNBC article that released earlier this week about Destiny's 2 microtransaction, and the author actually put out a great 4 reasons as to why Destiny 2 may not be doing too well. So 4 great articles, a lot to talk about. It's been a busy news week, and I'm really excited. But before we dive into all of that, I do have some housekeeping things that I do have to get out the way. So you guys can find the DTR podcast on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and the Google Play Store at Destiny Tracker Podcast. The show is recorded on Fridays at 7:45 p.m. Eastern, live on twitch.tv/DestinyTrack. If you guys would like to support the show, you guys can subscribe on iTunes, well, Apple Podcasts, sorry. And then you guys can also leave a review over there, and then you guys can follow us on Podbean. You guys can use our promo code DTR for 10% off your Gamer Subs GG order. All right, so XHOUNDISHx, I am going to pass it on to you, man. Do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself? What do you do here in the community?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I primarily play a lot of Destiny and have since Destiny launched. But yeah, I started to make some YouTube videos about Destiny, and that has slowly turned into my full-time job, especially with D2. So yeah, man, a lot of content creation, a lot of kind of hanging out in the community and stuff, which is pretty neat.
Sweet. So how did you get into content creation?
Kind of almost by accident. Like, I just started collecting like clips back in the day on Xbox 360 and making montages. It was like completely for fun. Like, just I was always into video and media and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a mix of things I really enjoyed doing. So yeah, like that was kind of it. I did a lot of montages for like Rockstar Games, and then got into Titanfall and stuff, and eventually Destiny came out, and I was like, maybe I should try and make like a proper guide or something, you know? And that was kind of the beginning of making content like that. So yeah.
So J-Ram, I'm going to pass it on to you, man, for your questions.
Yeah, so about 3 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, you put out a video, and the name of the video is Destiny 2 News, Bungie and Activision are in trouble, says analyst. So yes. If you could, for our listeners and viewers on Twitch, could you kind of give a little recap of what that video is about?
Okay, yes. So I believe the company is Cowen, they're called. They are a market research and investment banking firm. They do a whole bunch of sort of financial stuff. And they put out it wasn't so much of a report, it was more of a note to their clients. So I believe these are, you know, potential investors or people who are actually invested in Destiny or Activision in some way. That's where this kind of note was directed. But yeah, they pointed out sort of a bunch of key reasons that they feel Destiny 2 is struggling, and their sort of analysis of the way Bungie had handled things. And, you know, obviously this is based on some kind of like understanding of the financial stuff, you know, behind what's happened since Destiny 2 has launched. Yeah, they are concerned that Bungie won't necessarily be able to turn this around very easily. So that's kind of the bulk of it.
Okay.
I don't know whether you wanted to get into all of those points
No.
just yet, because I know we're going to talk about some of that stuff in a little while.
No, but you just said something in your answer, and you also said it in the video that really spoke to me, which was, can Bungie turn it around? So
Right.
the TWAB this week kind of shows that Bungie is starting to turn this ship around. Now, this isn't a nimble ship where it's really small, like a little sailboat or something like that, where you can basically turn on a dime. This is a massive cruise ship that takes a lot of time for it to turn. So, given what you've read in the TWAB so far, do you think this is a really good start for them to start turning this ship, or do you think this is kind of like throwing a lawn chair off the deck of the Titanic? Like, it's really not going to make a difference.
I think the stuff, that we're going to see at the end of January, the stuff they're talking about, leading up until season 3, all of it is really good stuff, and it's going to make Destiny an objectively better game for people who are still playing the game. I think the challenge for Bungie, it's kind of hard to tell, exactly how good that content will turn out, but I think the big challenge for Bungie is that there's a lot of expectation for kind of like a big release, like we saw the Taken King and things like that, and people are very impatient, and I think not necessarily that that's actually the player's fault, but I think the issue is that we see these kind of like relatively bite-size updates and things that are being improved in the game, and I think the challenge for Bungie is kind of building that hype up in order to kind of re-engage players. That would be my main thing. But what we're seeing, I think, is really good. Like the raid stuff, I think looks pretty fantastic. I think there are some flaws there, which we may get into. But yeah, I do think it's a beginning. But like I said, I think the challenge will be launching something. I think they'll have to go through the marketing cycle of a big expansion.
In your personal opinion right now, after you read the 12, what is one thing that you're really excited for, and one thing that you were like, man, you guys swung and you missed again?
The main thing I'm excited for would be raid mods. They look pretty interesting in terms of power in the raid. I think they're going to be really cool. I guess also that is one of my big issues though right now, because if you have raid gear, those mods will automatically be available, so you can just select them on a piece of raid gear that you already have. The one kind of thing I think that's missing there is actual kind of progression or a reason to grind if you already have that stuff.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit of a shame that they couldn't have dropped those mods sort of like into the loot table somehow. Perhaps I'll do that in the future. But otherwise, I don't think, looking at it for now, there's nothing I'd say they've absolutely kind of missed the mark, Perhaps that would be a little bit unfair. We're getting Masterwork Armor, we're getting raid mods. I think it's all a beginning, to something much better. So I'd say for now, it's good steps forward.
Okay.
On the most part.
And last question here. Let's pretend that we're living in a perfect world and everything is 100% fine, and with this September release, a lot of the problems that the community is now facing or describing, let's say the majority of those problems get fixed in the September update, okay?
Right.
Do you feel as though the community will kind of have a little bit of an outrage if Bungie puts a $40 price tag on that, considering a lot of people right now are saying, the sentiments are, this should have been a game in the first place. And what I'm afraid that's going to happen is, since we're kind of getting a game that kind of resembles D1, that people are going to go, you want me to spend another $40 to play the game that you messed up in the first place?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's inevitable that people are going to feel like that. Yeah, definitely. But I think it's kind of the unfortunate reality of it at the same time.
Yeah.
We're looking at poor DLC sales, warnings to investors. We know microtransactions haven't been making the kind of money Activision hoped they would, and they've got to make a whole bunch of changes to Eververse still. They're losing money, and I think it would be difficult for them to get away with launching a big expansion that didn't cost something like what the Taken King was.
Yeah, because the Taken King was $40, and although the Taken King did fix a lot of things, but it introduced a lot of new stuff. Yeah. And what I would like to see with this September update is a lot of new stuff. And one of the things that I'm really concerned with is it's not going to be a lot of new stuff. It's going to be a lot of fixes that gets us back to D1. Yeah. And the one thing that I keep bringing up in my brain is I thought the tower was blown up and all of our stuff was gone. Yet we keep seeing this recycled exotic content stuff coming up. And I'm kind of like, I can't buy into what you guys were telling me then back then. It's almost as if it was a bait and switch. Like you kind of lied to me a little bit. You kind of lied to me a little bit.
Absolutely.
And if Bungie wanted to just do one thing right and just knock this thing out of the park, it would be to give the September update for free.
Yeah.
If they did something like that, the audience that left, I think, would come back. And that would be amazing. That would be a home run ball. Now, whether or not they would do something like that, I don't know, because my brain is saying it's going to be $40. Yeah. My heart wants my heart's in love with it, and I hope that it's going to be free. Or see, maybe if it's $20, but still people are going to go, you want me to pay $20 for the game you fixed?
What they could do is they can have like the update as free, but the content that's coming, you have to pay for it.
Well, it better be $40 worth of content then.
Exactly. It has to be $40 worth of content.
And Jay, when you put that into perspective, that's 2/3 the price of a full game.
Exactly.
And if you go back and think about the Taken King, and this question is for both of you guys, was that considered 2/3 of a game, the content that you got for the Taken King?
Not quite. No, I wouldn't have thought so, personally. I mean, for me, like, enjoying it at the time, like, the money that I've spent on Destiny collectively, I can't say that, that's money wasted whatsoever.
Neither can I.
Yeah.
So it's kind of difficult. And it's the same with like the base Destiny game right now. I mean, from like the financial perspective, I think for me personally, it would be unfair to say I hadn't got my money's worth, out of Destiny so far. But that's going to be a challenge for Bungie. Absolutely. I think what you said, Jay, launching, the kind of update to the game side of it and then the content side of it, that's probably going to be what they'll be looking to do.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I think they're going to have to do that.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to have like strike specific loot and everything, that I would imagine that would be part of the free update. But any new strikes or new missions, or if there's a quest line or anything like that, or new exotic quest lines, that's all going to be locked behind that. You got to pay the money to get the new stuff. The question now becomes, how much do you price that?
Yeah,
that's the scary part. You know what I mean? Like I hope it's $40 worth. I really do. But because if it's not, you're gonna hear the same. I think you're gonna hear the same pushback, which is, we have to pay for your mistakes again.
Or it could be $30 because Rise of Iron was $30.
Yeah, but even then, was Rise of Iron worth the $30 price tag?
It should have been like $15 or $20.
Yeah, and don't think I'm saying that like in a mean way, like that wasn't worth $30. I'm saying be objective. Was it worth the $30?
Yeah.
In my opinion, I would have to say because I did the grind for the raids, all the raid gear and everything. I thought Wrath of the Machine was one of the Axis Part 2 raid encounter is one of the best encounters. Really? In fact, that encounter reminds me of the raid layer encounter right now, because you're always moving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're constantly, doing the communication thing back and forth. You're not just standing in one spot and shooting until you're actually doing damage.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
Even the two kind of like phases of the same mechanic as well. You start out and it's kind of like training phase.
Absolutely.
And then, like the final thing. I feel like they took a lot of theory probably from Wrath of the Machine on that raid.
My only main criticism with this raid layer is it's just not long enough. I think they dropped the ball with not making it long enough. It's like jump, defend, run through pipes, fight the boss. It's not that fun. I mean, not that I'm having a bad time with it now, but now I'm just going through the motions.
Yeah,
I'm not exploring. I'm not doing anything different. I know where to jump. I know where to stand. I know where the skulls, appear. You didn't get that with Wrath of the Machine, because you had two boss encounters, and then you had the the Siege engine part, and then you had part 1 and part 2 of Axis.
That's it. They were all quite unique in their own sort of right.
Yeah, very well put together.
That's it.
All right. Well, those are all my questions. Thank you for answering them.
Awesome.
Great questions as always, J Ram.
Yeah.
Great questions.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so I do want to take this time to announce our February calendar here on the podcast. So next week we're going to have Professor Broman. He will be here on our show since we could not have him of last week because he did have the flu. So he will be here next week if everything goes as planned, of course. And then the week after, we're going to have a YouTuber named Darkside. He will be here. And then our friends over at the RNG Cast will be joining us on February 16th. We are not going to have a show on February 23rd because I will not be here home in New York. I will be traveling, so we're not going to have a show that week. And then in March, we will return. So it's going to be a great month, as always.
Awesome.
All right, guys. So my favorite part of the show, as always, is the most fun you guys had in video games this week. I'll go first since I'm already talking. But this week I've been playing a ton of Sea of Thieves. I was actually just playing it right now before the show, and I'm having a blast in Sea of Thieves. It's most fun if you have a team with you, not any randoms or anything. If you actually know the people that you're playing with, it's so much fun. I highly recommend that game. And yeah, I've been playing a lot of Sea of Thieves. HOUNDISHx, I'm gonna pass it on to you. What games have
Monster Hunter?
Ooh, yes,
Monster Hunter, man. So it's the first new game I've played in way too long.
Can you describe to me what Monster Hunter is? Because here's my perspective of it so far. You go around and hunt monsters. That's it. Like, what else is there to do?
With there's quite a lot of sort of questing in it. Bounties to collect, a ton of sort of different materials to craft with. You can craft with like parts from monsters and stuff that you kill. That kind of side of it is not something I know super in depth just yet, but like the amount, just the sheer number of items and possibilities and stuff seems to be pretty intense. So I think that's kind of like the big chase behind the game.
And do you have any idea of what the end game would entail?
Not entirely. Not necessarily sort of outside of like the stuff I've just spoken about, but it's strange because there is sort of like a story element to the game, but it almost feels like I'm already in the end game. Okay. You know what I mean? Just like off the bat, it's like it just starts, and that is just a game, and it kind of just scales up. I'm not really super aware of like their plan to support the game, you know, as like a live game kind of thing. I mean, I'm guessing they'll do DLC and things like that. But yeah, the end game of it's going to be quite interesting.
Yeah, because I see a lot of people playing it right now, and I hear a lot of good things about it. But does the game have legs? That's what I'm majorly concerned with. Does it have legs?
Yeah, that's my main concern as well. I can see myself putting a fair amount of time into it, but I'm not sure, you know, I can't necessarily see myself playing it in like 4 months. I don't know what I'd be doing in 4 months from now, you know?
Okay.
Kind of thing.
All right, sweet. J-Ram.
But yeah, it's fun.
J-Ram, what games have you been playing this week?
COD, World War II, love it still.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know why people don't like it. It reminds me of when I started playing COD back when it was like Black Ops 1 or 2. Like it just has that feel to me, or feel for it to me. And Division. I'm still grinding the Division away.
I haven't touched it yet. I'm sorry. I know I said last week I would touch it, but then Sea of Thieves beta came out. I didn't even pre-order the game because I'm a part of Xbox Insider. So I was like, ooh, I gotta hop on this. So
that's cool.
Been playing that. Yeah.
There's another game. Does it have legs? Because I see people playing it right now, and you know, I before I go ahead and buy either of those games. And given what happened with Bungie and all the feedback and everything that it's gotten over the last couple months, I'm gonna wait until I buy a game now. Yeah, like I don't trust any game developers out there anymore. Yeah, so I'll just wait and see what happens.
I will say with like Sea of Thieves, again, it's more fun if you have people to play with. I'm just trying to see like what's the end game of that game also. Like, because right now I'm just like exploring, I'm gathering chests, there's only coins that you can get. Yeah, you could buy clothes and things like that. But I hope to see that there's like more to the game. Maybe you could customize your ship or something. I don't know if that's coming in the game or not. So like I really hope to see that there's more to it. when the full game does actually release. But yeah, great games, guys. Great games. All right, so let's move on to the Jason Schreier article. He did an amazing reporting earlier this week on Anthem. So as you all know, Anthem is a game that's currently being developed by BioWare. So it seems like BioWare does have two game studios, and now they're all working on Anthem. Well, most of them are working on Anthem. They do have some working on Star Wars: The Old Republic, which they plan on scrapping soon. And then they're also piecing together the next Dragon Age, which was recently rebooted. So we know that Anthem was announced back in E3 of 2017. So the game has been in development since 2012, according to Jason Schreier's reporting. And the game has had some rocky development. They've a lot of their top executives at BioWare has left. They're having issues. They had issues around 2014 and 2015 with the engine. We know other game studios have troubles with their engine and top executives leaving throughout. And because the engine that they are using for Anthem is the Frostbite engine, and we all know that the Frostbite engine was designed for games like Battlefield, not a game as large as Anthem. And then the big piece of news inside this article was that Anthem is now scheduled to release in early of 2019. So the game has been pushed back to early of 2019. So I have a question for you guys. So now that we know that the game is going through some rocky development and the pressure is now on for BioWare to create a great game, do you guys think the game was rebooted? Because as we all know, Destiny 1 was rebooted. Like, I hate to compare it to like D1 and D2, but it seems like they're kind of going down the same path. Rocky development, executives are leaving, the game is being pushed back. So I'm starting to think that maybe the game was rebooted instead of having them time to like finish polishing the game. So what are your thoughts on that? Houndish, I'm gonna start off with you, man.
I don't know. I mean, it's difficult to tell kind of like if they may have rebooted anything. I think like nowadays stuff probably gets rebooted quite a lot.
It's because
of like and games. I think one of the main reasons is that like, you know, games like this, games like Destiny or what Anthem is supposed to be, they are like really quite complicated. And obviously they've been developing the game for a really long time, so there's probably a lot of discovery like in that process, and perhaps that's why they kind of get to a certain point quite regularly and end up, you know, turning it on its head and kind of restarting. So yeah, it's difficult to tell, but it definitely, you know, it's an ambitious game for sure. Like you said, working with the tools they've got, things like the Frostbite engine, inside of a studio that's been kind of like juggling multiple titles under a lot of pressure from EA, and what we saw with Mass Effect as well, you know, very disruptive. And it seems like these big projects tend to be like that for studios, don't they? You hear a lot about it, you know, with Bungie early on with Destiny and stuff as well. Complicated stuff, obviously.
And the pressure is on for BioWare because right now, as we know, Destiny 2 is not doing too well amongst the community and around the globe right now. So the pressure is on for them, and they are looking at the feedback from our community on how to make D2 a better game, and they're taking that feedback into consideration as to, all right, how can we not make these mistakes or anything like that? J-Ram.
You know what, Jay? You literally just you said exactly what I was going to say, which was, you know, do I think there was some troubles making the game? Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't imagine creating a product from scratch ever goes as smoothly as what everybody wants to believe it does. But I do think that the feedback from the community on Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Destiny 2 made them really take a step back and go, you know what? Our consumers are not stupid. We have to deliver a polished product or else it's game over. Yeah. So you know, let's really look at the systems that we're trying to make. Let's really see how we're going to develop content and how we're going to have this stream of content. Because right now there is a massive gap in the gaming community for a game like this. Yeah. You know, for a looter shooter, first-person shooter or third-person shooter. Look at the success that The Division is having now after they had like a year and a half to catch up on all the development that they actually wanted to do for the game. Yeah. Yeah. So, Jay, you love the way I put things sometimes. Would you eat a turkey that was cooked halfway?
No.
No.
I love
back
your
in the
food
oven.
analogies. Yep.
Put it back in the oven then.
Yeah.
If Destiny 2 would have gave us a completely polished product, like close your eyes and picture your version of Destiny 2, and let's say that version was delivered to you. Except when they came out and said, we're going to release it on September 9th, 2017, and they said, you know what? We're going to push it back a year. Number one, you'd be pissed because you want to play the game. But at the same time, I think you would have, given the product that you would have gotten, you would have been okay with that.
But that's not always the case, because sometimes these games are being pushed back because, well, they're being rebooted. Because I remember having this conversation when we first heard that D2 was rebooted, and we were all excited, like, yeah, it's going to give them more time to work on a game. That's not the case. That's because they just rebooted the game. And look at the product that we got. I'm not saying it's terrible, but I'm just saying look at what we got. So
agree.
I'm definitely curious and on edge, like, okay, well, they pushed the game back, and my first reaction was, I think the game was rebooted. Like, that was my first
but I think that's
or something.
Maybe that's your first reaction because that's what we've been given for the last 2 Destiny games. So
yeah,
of course you're gonna jump right onto that.
Yeah,
and hey, I'm with you. Yeah. I don't blame you for thinking that way.
And this project is just so huge. That's why.
Yeah,
and
I think the company took a hard look and was like, you know what, we can't mess this up.
And I will say it looks like that they are going the same path that Bungie went down, because top people are leaving. They're having engine problems. They were developing Mass Effect at the same time as Anthem. So, and I remember Bungie was working on Halo 3 and Halo Reach at the same time as D1. And then after Halo Reach shipped, then they put all their people on D1. So, and again with D2, they were trying to make content for D1 at the same time as trying to make D2. So again, it just seems like this is starting to become a common theme amongst the gaming industry. Yeah.
I think what needs to happen with the game in the community that we're currently a part of is we need to have one game that is polished. Maybe it takes 5 to 6 years, maybe 8 years of development, okay? But we just need one game to just hit it out of the park, and that way it shows gaming companies that if we just slow down the development,
look at Final Fantasy,
and really give a product that these people want, that the money will be there. Hey, like I said, I don't like microtransactions at all in a full price game. But if they're going to be in the game, and if that's the pill that I have to swallow, at least give me a clear pathway to get the item that I want, not a loot box. You know what I mean? So, come up with good ideas that promote player investment. So if that means you got to push the game back to make sure that you got a well-polished game and it works and the servers are good and the networking code is good, then do it. All we need, Jay, is one game to do that. Because right now, it almost seems as if the community expects a brand new, AAA title every single year. They basically come out with these games almost annually. And it's like, how can you expect a team to work like that unless you have such a massive team and their communication within the different departments and divisions within that game developer, the communication is perfect. You can have that. But look at what COD did. Look what Call of Duty does. They have three different companies work on a game, and every 3 years you get that developer's version of Call of Duty. Yeah. Now Call of Duty is Call of Duty. It really hasn't changed that much over the years. But that being said, you still get a polished game. Look at Assassin's Creed. They pushed it back a year for Origins. They after the Unity debacle, they said we have to really take a hard look at this. So they pushed it back a year. Community was a little upset, but the game they got is one of the best Assassin's Creed to this date.
Yeah, I agree.
So, hey, I am patient and I'll wait. What I don't want is to come over to your house and then you serve me a piece of turkey that's still pink. That's what I don't want, because I'll be pissed. I wasted all this time to get dressed and come over, and you're going to serve me this crap.
That's it. I think some companies will perhaps trend, like what we said about Assassin's Creed and stuff like that, will potentially trend towards, doing that, trying to take more time. Honestly, I feel like companies, like EA, they want to get big annual titles. That's their main focus. They're
Yes,
going to
they-
make the most money that way. You know?
They want a constant revenue stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it. And it, you know, I guess it is a bit of a battle, like figuring that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if the industry changes in that respect much, like over time. I think it depends who you're dealing with, doesn't it? Like,
Let me ask you guys this question.
Yeah.
I forget. Damn it! I wish I can remember whose YouTube video I was watching, and it was in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
And I this sucks because I can't give the person credit, and I really want to give the person credit because
Maybe
it
I
did make,
know if you.
well,
just say it.
it did make me think a lot about this. What if Bungie came out and said this is, instead of calling this Destiny 2, they just said this is just an extension of Destiny, not Destiny 1, just an extension of Destiny? Do you think we would have had as much of a blowback? You know what I mean? Like, do you think the community would have been as riled up? Because the way they sold this game to me personally was, it's a new title, it's a new game, it's a fresh start, where we are restarting this game over again, this universe.
Mm-hmm.
So I was expecting all brand new stuff built off of what they already learned.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what if they just said this was not Destiny 1.5, just Destiny? This is your next, this is your next exploration, whatever. Here's your next adventure.
I'll let you take that, Houndish. Yeah.
I feel like people would respond in pretty much the same way, like ultimately, because it would still be the new game, it would still be the products they're supporting, so
Yeah.
it would still be it would still be the game that we're playing right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
To my kind of, I don't know, sometimes I feel like with Destiny 2, because they wanted a sequel, they wanted to call it Destiny 2. I wonder a little bit, like, especially with all this like talk of it being rebooted, I wonder like how much stuff was changed so that they felt like they could call it a sequel,
Yeah.
like 6v6 versus 4v4, like what's the actual value in it,
Yeah.
like is it more about, well, we changed the Crucible, like these kind of things, like fixed roles, it's a much more casual, appealing thing. Obviously that was the market they were kind of targeting with it. Yeah, I feel like some decisions were made kind of more purely around, this has to look like a sequel because we can't just do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Maybe that's, I don't know, maybe that's a little bit harsh, but sometimes I do feel like that's been the case with elements of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It just when I read that comment, it made me think about it. It really, like, because I was thinking, like, oh, if they did call this something different, would we have been as up in arms?
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, I was expecting a brand new game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when you're bringing back exotics, and the UI is the same exact thing, and the planets are in the same exact spots as they were before, they're just called different now. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it didn't feel like anything new.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first thing I thought of was, man, I can't wait to see the new user interface. How are they gonna change where like the guns and everything are, and are there gonna be more perks on the gun that I can choose from, and what's my subclasses and everything gonna look like? How are they gonna change that up? And it's just not there. There's no wow factor. Now, hopefully it comes with some temper and everything. I'm being cautiously optimistic as always.
Yes.
But I just wondered about that. That's all.
Yeah.
No,
you're right. Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels
a part
like
to play.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Don't sell me tomato soup when all you're giving me is ketchup and water mixed in a bowl.
Mm-hmm.
It's not tomato soup, But that's what it sounded like. That I'm getting a brand new bowl of soup here, and I didn't get it.
Yeah. So here's my question to you guys.
Okay.
What is your ideal perfect looter shooter? So what would you like to see Anthem to do? Like, what would you like to see from Anthem? Houndish, I'm gonna throw that over to you, man. I know it's a loaded question. I'm sorry.
That's a hard
No,
question.
it's cool.
It's just.
I mean, I guess like where Destiny 1 ended up, Taken King or Rise of Iron.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'd want to see a lot of similar elements to the game, upgrading weapons, like needing materials to do that, just general like investment built into every part of the game, like the customization, yeah, that would be like the main things I'm looking for. I don't know. Destiny 1 was just, it was packed with stuff that you actually cared about.
Yeah.
You know, and I think like in their sandbox as well, they need to make sure that they kind of play with that power fantasy and make sure it's really strong, but make it investable. Like that's the main thing. You know,
Yeah.
I wanna earn my way to this thing because I know it is like one of the best things. Yeah, and the chase as well. Like I think a balance of, you know, progression and randomness in a game like that is really important, and it was really important in Destiny 1 as well. You know.
Oh yeah, J-Ram.
And it's something we miss now
sorry.
for sure.
Oh
No,
yeah.
it's cool. It's cool.
No, just to reiterate what Houndish said. Definitely player investment. Make my time worth it. I would like to see more expansive like raids. Like I'm a big raid person. I like, you know, one of the most amazing feelings I ever got within Destiny. One of the most memorable feelings is when you first open a door to the Vault of Glass. Now, mind you, the Vault of Glass was the second raid I did. I did Crota's first. You know, the Dark Below raid. And although that was a fun raid, it didn't capture what I thought a raid was until I went into the Vault of Glass. And as soon as you open up the door and it's like you're in a whole different world, but you're still in Venus. And it still has the Venus characteristics, but you can tell the further down you go, the more vexy it gets. And when you have to jump down those blocks, that one pathway to get to the first encounter where the Templar is, that's what I like. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for stuff like that. Put me into a position or put me into a place where I feel like my actions mean something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As far as like, you know, loot and stuff like that, I didn't have a problem with getting a gun and then grinding up, you know, doing bounties and stuff like that to watch the little XP go around the circles and everything. So, you know what I mean? So I can rank up my gun. I didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people did. I didn't have a problem with the radiant shards and everything like that. You know, I say this a lot, and hopefully people agree with me. I don't know if they do, but I don't think D1 had, you know, D1 Vanilla 1 Vault of Glass Forever 29. I don't think it had a loot problem. It had an RNG problem. The RNG, it just kept giving you the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so
About to go
you
where
know,
you put it.
yeah, if you can go into the RNG thing and tell me that, oh, we've tweaked the RNG so it doesn't give you duplicate exotics, then tweak the RNG so it doesn't give me duplicate legendary shit when I'm in a raid.
Yeah.
Right.
It can't be like, if you could do one, you could do the other. Whether or not you want to do that, that's a different story. You know, because you do want to have people keep coming back and everything. I think a really good thing would be to, you know, for the new people or even a new raid, is you can't get any of the raid mods until you have that one piece of raid gear. So let's say the first time I go through the raid and I got the boots, right? Now the next time when I go into the raid, lock the boots out, but then give me the chance to get the mod for the boots.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
And maybe there's 3 or 4 different mods that I can put on that set of boots. Maybe one of them is like a lightweight boot. You know, your armor goes down a little bit, but man, you move fast as hell. You know, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
That's it.
Get creative with what you have. There's nothing holding them back other than time constraints, which, let's be honest, that's probably the worst problem to have for them right now, Bungie. Or for Anthem, you know, in that matter.
BioWare, yeah. Do you guys enjoy a game that has a lot of different currencies? Because in D1, we went through a lot of different currency changes throughout the lifespan of that game. We had Etheric Light, we had Mote of Light, Strange Coins, the shards, the Radiant shards. We had some other shards from the raid and things like that. We had Moldering shards. But you guys get the point. Sorry about that. That's my dog.
That's okay.
But do you guys enjoy the different type of currencies? J-Ram, you?
Yeah, absolutely. Different currencies and different parts of the game requires me to do different things. If I get the same currency all over the place, then why do anything? You know, if that's the case, I'm going to take the path of least resistance to get the maximum amount of currency I can get. You know what I mean? Work smarter, not harder. That's the name of the game.
How did you enjoy the different currencies?
Yeah, definitely. I think like as long as they all have value and like
Exactly.
you know a tangible like reward potential as well, or use. Like that was the thing in Destiny 1. There was like so many different things, but they all did a thing. So you know, getting a ton more of that stuff, even if you weren't going to use it like today or tomorrow, it'd be like, well, when this update comes along or you know whatever happens, like there was always a reason that you'd end up using stuff that you had. Whereas in D1 or D2, sorry, like I just don't feel that same. You know, there's a part of me that likes to collect. Like I'd love to have like 500 EDZ tokens, but you know, what's the point? Kind of thing at the moment. You know, I guess that's kind of the problem. You could have a ton of different things, but they have to have like impact on the game and you know like the progression.
Most definitely.
Quality over quantity.
Yep.
That's it. Yeah.
100%.
And it makes getting that stuff like you know enjoyable and valuable as well. So definitely. Honestly, I think with Destiny 2 or like you know BioWare Anthem, there's so much to learn from a game like Destiny 1.
Yeah.
You know, ultimately where it ended up.
Maybe that's one of the reasons, but maybe that and a couple other reasons we're like, let's put the brakes on this.
Yeah.
You see what's happening with these two other games. We don't want that to happen here.
But we can all say that Anthem will have some issues because no game is perfect. Like they can try all they want, but the game will have issues at launch.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. But if the game is good, people will overlook some of the issues.
Exactly.
It always happens that way. Always. If you provide a good product, people are willing to put up with more shit.
I'm glad you said that because we're actually going to talk about that later in the show about what you just said and all that. But yeah. All right. So Paul Tassi put out a great article earlier this week after Jason Schreier's Kotaku article on Anthem. And he talks about that one thing that worries him the most about Anthem, and he goes through saying it's not the time trying to make the game, is not EA, is not the microtransactions, is not the how the game is going to operate with the co-op and all that. The one thing that worries him most is the shooting, because we all know D2 and D1 had great shooting in the game, and the shooting feels great, the guns feel great and all that. Now, I've never played a Mass Effect game. I will admit that here. I've never played a Mass Effect game, but he says here that the Mass Effect titles had great story, but the shooting wasn't really that good. So have you guys played a Mass Effect game before? Have you guys played any of them?
Briefly, but not really. Not a whole ton. I would definitely say that it was. It's not kind of the key element.
No, clunky.
You know, of a game like that. Yeah, definitely not tuned. You know, despite sort of the sandbox problems with Destiny, you know, despite those, the mechanics are still pretty out of this world as far as like a shooter game goes. I think third-person shooters are automatically different. The Division kind of landed in an interesting place, like as far as its shooting goes, but it's so like mechanic heavy that the mechanic side of it is more heavy than, you know, like shooter heavy or like skill heavy in terms of shooting kind of thing. You know, it's a different skill set that you need for that, which is what I would guess Anthem is probably going to tap into more than anything. But yeah, mechanics is going to be a big challenge for them.
Oh yeah,
including like flight mechanics and stuff like that. It's
it has to feel good. Like I don't know the word for it, but Destiny shooting just feels good. It feels great. And I never even thought about this. Like, I hope they do a good job trying to make the shooting feel good with Anthem, because that is a huge part of the game. Like, that's huge right there. And I didn't even think about that. Because I've never played a Mass Effect title, so I don't know how the shooting is, but he brings up a good point here. J-Rick, I'm just going to pass it on to you. What are your thoughts?
Well, I played Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. I made it about an hour into each of them. None of them grabbed me, and it was because of the shooting. It was just clunky at best. Now, The Division has excellent shooting for a third-person game, given that is the type of third-person game that I've played. Like, I don't really play too many third-person shooters because I appreciate the first-person perspective a little bit more. I remember a game called Borderlands 1 and 2, played them, and they had really good shooting, but when it comes to the first-person shooter, Bungie nails down the mechanics.
Most definitely.
Like they are the what I would consider the industry standard. You know, I think COD is a close, very close number 2. You know, I mean, you aim, you pull the trigger, that's where your bullet goes. Especially when Destiny came out on PC. You know, like I honestly thought the shooting in D1 and D2 on PlayStation was awesome, and then I played PC, and it was like it's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
So I forget where I was going with this now.
It's fine.
I totally forget where I was going with this.
It's okay.
What was the original question?
How, like, did it ever cross your mind about how the shooting is going to be in Anthem? Because that never,
perfect, yes.
That
There you
never
go,
crossed my mind.
No,
I
it
only
does
thought
cross my mind.
I only
That's
thought about the loot and stuff.
Well, yeah, but how do you get the loot? How do you engage with the loot? It's through shooting.
Exactly.
It's through
right.
shooting. So if excuse me, if they can nail down the shooting, it's gonna be a scary game. You know, provided that what we've seen so far, and once again we're hyping this up, and maybe we shouldn't be, but you know what I mean? It's there. Like I said it earlier in the podcast, there is a massive vacuum right now for a game, for a looter shooter to come in and fill that void. Yeah. And if it's Bungie, fantastic. If it's another game, great. But the fact of the matter is, the community is hungry. This is what they want. And right now, EA and BioWare and you know what, Anthem, they're in a position where they can nab up a lot of people.
Yeah,
the big question is, will they do it? We'll pushing this back a year, clean it up.
And Paul brings up another great point. Why BioWare? Why not a company like DICE? DICE makes great Battlefield games. I love the shooting in Battlefield. So why not them? Why not Respawn? With the Titanfall series, the shooting is good in Titanfall. So I never thought about that also. Like, why task BioWare with such a huge project like this? HOUNDISHx, I'm gonna throw it over to you. Oh, unless J-Rem, you have something to say?
No. I mean,
okay.
I do have an idea, but
Okay.
HOUNDISHx is the guest. He goes first.
HOUNDISHx.
It's tough to say, really. I mean,
Yeah, of course.
I would
We're not
I would
there.
imagine it's probably a BioWare concept, you know, initially.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I mean, like where DICE are currently, you know, they've got Battlefield, they've got Battlefront, which are just huge. And it strikes me that DICE wouldn't want to take anything else on,
Yeah.
or anything like that. But yeah, it's.
It seems like BioWare is really good at not the gameplay core, but the story of the game. So I think that's a reason why they could have went there to BioWare. But gameplay is such a huge part of a game, though. It's
absolutely.
So huge.
Definitely.
So
Well, that's
really
kind of like the
curious to
two. Sorry, I was just going to say that's sort of the two challenges for BioWare, isn't it? You know, they've got some really good history with the story side of things, but then with a game like this, loot and progression, which has proven to be immensely complicated for games, and take a really long time to get right, and then very mechanic heavy. Those are the things that kind of concern me with BioWare making a game like this.
Oh yeah, J-Ram.
Horizon Zero Dawn. Who made Horizon Zero Dawn?
Oh, I forgot the company. Oh my gosh, Guerrilla Games.
Sure.
Guerrilla Games.
Correct. Very good, Jay. What were they known for?
I have no idea.
They were known for Gears of War. Correct?
Really? I will fact check you, but you could keep talking.
No, please do that, because no, seriously, because the people who made oh no, I don't think it was Gears of War now. Whoever made Horizon Zero Dawn never made a game like that before.
Definitely not. It was
I am not
Epic
sure.
Games, People Can Fly, Splash Damage, and the Coalition created Gears of War.
Hold on, Horizon Zero Dawn game. I'm looking it up right now because I don't want to get this wrong. Guerrilla Games, Guerrilla Games made it. And what did they do before Guerrilla Games? I mean before that. Killzone. They made Killzone.
Oh, yes.
Okay, there you go.
Right,
They made
yeah.
they made Killzone. So let me ask you this question, Jay. Were you worried about when you saw what Horizon Zero Dawn and everything was? Because we did see some screenshots and some gameplay and everything beforehand. Were you worried that it was who was it again? Guerrilla Games when they made Killzone?
I will be honest. Well, Killzone was a good game.
It was all right.
Yeah.
It was all right, but it was a completely different game for them.
Yeah, it was completely different.
At least this is in BioWare's game, or this is in their field. This is in their wheelhouse.
That's true.
So, are you asking me, am I worried about it? No, not at all. I think when you have the right people in the right position, good management will put the right people in the right position and will exploit their talents to the best of their ability. That's what happens. And that's what happens when you have great management. So if I work under the assumption that Guerrilla Games has good management and they're putting the right people in the right position so they can excel, I have no problems whatsoever. Yeah. I think a really good case in point of that would be with Bungie and their art team. They put them in the right position, and
100% right. Yeah.
All these podcasts I listen to right now, I'm catching up on all their games of the year and everything. And Destiny is always first, second, or third place for look and design and how the game actually how it feels. They're always in that conversation. So you know what I mean. Good management will put people in the right position to make the right moves. Yeah. That's it.
But when their management starts to leave, as we see in that BioWare, that's
case in point.
Yeah.
Right. And you're right. That's a concern. But we're acting as if like this is the first time people have ever left a company before.
I know, but
it happens every day.
You're right, but during mid-development, we always know when a company leaves. That's all. I mean, when someone leaves a company mid-development, that's not usually good. We've seen that with Infinity Ward when their CEO left, and we found out that there was complication behind the scenes. That's why Infinite Warfare kind of turned out the way it did. D2, we know that there was a big staff shakeup. Luke Smith became director. The CEO Harold Ryan left. Man, I should not know that man's name by heart.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jay. But then what you hope for is that the people that left and the people that you replace them with are they fit the position. Yeah. You just can't start promoting people because people are leaving.
That's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is by no means a good way to manage.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I don't have faith in BioWare. I do, because their communications is off the charts. Like, they're always on Reddit, they're always on Twitter talking to the community, and the game is not even out yet. Like, we're still like a year away, and they're so active online just talking to us about the game, which is good.
Yeah. Well, do you think that's in direct response to how some video game devs just don't say anything?
You're right.
I don't want to say video game devs. I'm talking about just games companies in general.
Yeah.
The companies. Yeah. They just don't say anything.
Yeah.
That's it. There's this kind of shift, isn't there, where it's becoming like expected for you to have like a continuous. Yeah, it's like Epic Games with Fortnite, like the way they handle things. Obviously, like the technology they've got and what they can do with the game, it's perfect for a live game.
Yeah, I don't even play Fortnite.
And it's free to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even play Fortnite, and I'm always getting updates on Twitter. Hey, today it was, we know you can't find your friends. We're working on it. As soon as we get a fix, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
It's great.
You never hear that from other companies just don't do that as well.
Yeah.
That's it.
As they do.
Yeah. All right, guys. So let's dive into the TWAB this week. Great information in the TWAB. So, did you guys play faction rallies this week? I played on the last day. I was repping Future World Called. Clearly, Future World Called did not win. New Monarchy won for a second time. Future World Called has yet to win, which I can't really blame anyone because I barely played. I only played till the end, so I can't really complain too much about it. So I couldn't really support Future World Called as much. But did you guys play? HOUNDISHx, you first, man.
Yeah, I played a little bit. Mostly just grinding Dead Orbit armor ornaments on Xbox. Because I play Titan on Xbox, Warlock on PC, and then Hunter on PS4. Not that I get to play the PC and the PS4 enough, but so yeah, I went with Dead Orbit just because that was almost my faction in D1. Nice. So yeah, I was grinding the ornaments for those. I did really want that Viced, the Dead Orbit auto rifle though. Like that thing looked pretty badass. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'll have to pick it up next time. But,
where did you grind for your tokens? Since we know that the Winding Cove was shut down for business and all lost sectors basically.
Yeah, mostly I ended up on Titan and Nessus a lot. Just kind of like, you know, do a public event, jump in a lost sector. Like if I was waiting for another nearby public event, just kind of loop around. You can do it. You can get quite a lot of tokens. Yeah. So kind of more of a grind than a farm, I suppose, is what you'd say.
Yeah. Before we throw it over to JRAM, so what is your opinion on them locking out the chest for 10 whole minutes?
Yeah, it wasn't very elegant, like, of a solution for that problem.
It's pretty extreme.
As far as, like, yeah, the faction rally itself, like, as far as the faction rally itself, I didn't think it was, like, the biggest problem, necessarily. Like, it was perhaps it's a little bit mean. But, like, for lost sectors in general, the fact that, you know, if you were just, like, running from one lost sector to another, like, you know, as, like, a newish player or something, and you get locked out, like, yeah, that's where it, like, really sucks, if you ask me. But, yeah probably not the best move on Bungie's behalf, but it looks like they don't have a very good fix for the chest problem with Winding Cove. So I'm pretty sure this whole thing was just to stop the Winding Cove farm, basically.
Do you think
primarily?
Do you think that farm was game breaking though? Like, did they really have to fix that? Like, there was a cap on faction rally packages anyway, so was it really necessary for them to put so much? I don't know how much manpower it took, but just time out their day to just fix something that wasn't really game breaking. To me, it wasn't game breaking. Was it game breaking to you?
I'd say it was game breaking inside of their, like, the way the system works, but the system is one that isn't very popular for a lot of people. So that's kind of like where you have this complicated conversation, you know, as to whether it is game breaking. Yeah, I think it was a bit broken, but I think there are better ways to do reputation anyway. So
that's true.
It's one of those. Yeah. I'd rather, honestly, I would rather farm it for how faction rallies work right now. I'd rather farm it in Winding Cove than in any other way, unfortunately. But yeah.
Do you think shoot, I really just forgot my question. I'm just gonna pass it on to you, JRAM.
Good man.
Yeah, I did some faction rally stuff.
Sweet.
I did the bare minimum to get the ornaments. And Jay, you should be glad that Future War Call didn't win. And here's why. If they would have won, there would have been a major conspiracy of people going, see, Bungie just picks whoever wants to win. Because we have no idea what team wins because we don't know what their numbers are.
Yeah.
Which is a massive it's just a mistake.
Yeah. They should really put like a leaderboard on the tower or somewhere in game that shows you how many factions.
How about this? Ideally, the leaderboard would be the best.
Or even on Bungie.net.
You could see the numbers.
Yeah.
But even if you just had 3 flags as soon as you spawn in, and the height of the flag measured what team was winning at that time.
Right.
It's not that hard.
Yeah. They should have put some manpower in that instead of patching all lost sectors and all chests for 10 minutes.
My point exactly. Put people in the right position to do the right things, and great things will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So what faction were you rooting for, JRAM?
New Monarchy. I mean, their ornaments were dope as shit, man.
Yeah.
You cannot say one bad thing about the art team. Like, they knock it out of the park amazing every single time.
All the time.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
and I use the Crucible helmet with those it's the one I'm sorry, let me take this back. My main is a Titan. So I use the Crucible helmet, and then I have the gauntlets that give you that longer melee. I forget the name of them. So they're exotic.
I know the ones.
You know what I'm talking about?
It escapes me now.
Yeah, it like makes your melee longer. They're the ones that have the glowing veins going down the arms.
Yeah.
I use those gauntlets and then the New Monarchy chest and legs.
Syntheseps.
There you go. with the new Monarchy shader, and I look like a badass. Like he looked and he has a sweet like cup on his dong. It looks like it's like a sweet cod piece. Perfect.
Rep the monarchy.
Yeah. So I did the bare minimum just so I can get that stuff. So I got it within like a day or two.
Now, how did you farm, quote unquote, farm your tokens? Did you just play any activity?
No. I looked at what the milestones were. So I did, obviously the EDZ stuff, like anything that they made me do.
Yeah.
I really thought about, okay, can I do 2 of these at the same time? Mm-hmm. So, for example, what I would do, and I don't know if this is game breaking or if this is me using what Bungie has provided me to my advantage. Mm-hmm. But I would find, like, for example, the Winding Cove. Okay, to do the new Monarchy thing, you had to get so many super kills. Mm-hmm. So if it was the Winding Cove, I would spawn in, grab the super, go down into the lost sector as fast as I could, killed as many guys as I could with my super, killed the boss, grab the tokens, and then respawn. I'd go back to orbit, not go back to orbit, but I would respawn in the Winding Cove again, so I can grab the flag, get the super, go back into that lost sector, and I would just continuously repeat that, and then once I got locked out of the tokens for the lost sector, I still went in there anyways because I needed the super kills.
Yeah.
So I would just continuously just do that loop, until the actual public event was there, and then I would do the public event, get those tokens, and then just find another place on the map to do that.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah. I really hope they change the lockout timer.
It's not even that. It's just make it. Give me something fun to do.
Yeah.
I am sick of public events. They really doubled down on that public event thing.
It was fun for like the first month, and then after I'm like, oh, this is going to get tiring.
Oh, yeah, until you realize that basically you could do everything in the game. You can get to 335 just by doing public events.
Yeah.
I get that they don't want to lock people out of being that highlight level. Mm-hmm. Because that number for some people means a lot to them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they didn't want to just put the high-end stuff behind like a raid or behind Trials of the 9 or whatever. And I can get that. Mm-hmm. But to just do what they did, it's like there was no thought process whatsoever. They boiled it down to its basic components and just said, let them all have it. And loot is too easy to get. It's just too easy to get. Mm-hmm. Like, make me work a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I agree.
So, Lord Saladin is returning back to the tower. He is returning on Tuesday, January 30th, and the game mode is Control, and he will be leaving on Tuesday, February 6th. So, I'm really digging these designs for the new Iron Banner weapons. He will be selling the hand cannon, the scout rifle, and the shotgun, and then you will be able to get the Sparrow, the Ghost, and the brand new emblem. Now, I did say selling because they're finally adding direct purchase for Lord Saladin, so you can just go to him and you can purchase the armor that he will be selling, and the armor ornament, and the featured weapons. Kind of like the way it was in D1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like the way it was in D1. So they are going back to the system, which I like a lot. So will you guys play Iron Banner next week? Houndish, you first, man.
Yeah, I'll definitely be going in. I'll try and get some of those ornaments. I haven't really looked at all of the requirements for those. I know one is like you have to get 25 wins in the Iron Banner. I don't know how difficult they're going to be, but I'll definitely go for those. I want that scout rifle as well.
Yeah, that scout rifle looks nice. Yeah.
I hate when they tie something to winning. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because the last thing you want to do is play 75 or 50 Iron Banner matches just to get your 25 wins. Mm-hmm. Right. Because what if you're that lone wolf that's playing by themselves and you're getting your ass kicked within the first 2 minutes of the game? It's 20-3, and then the 3 players leave your team. Now you're stuck there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now you leave. You know what I mean? I hate when they tie it to winning.
It does seem like you could directly purchase the ornaments, though, and you could also earn them.
But the one ornament that I looked at, it says win 25 Iron Banner matches. That's the only way to get it.
Is that in the database?
It's on the TWAB.
Oh, it's on the TWAB.
It's on the
Ooh, sorry, I didn't. I will look for that. But yeah, J-Ren, will you be playing Iron Banana this week?
I think I'm gonna try it. That one hunter helmet ornament, where it looks like a dragon's face or something like that.
That is pretty cool.
That's
badass.
the
coolest one. If you ask me.
That is. I will play for that. That is cool as hell.
Cool.
Once again, it's thank God for the art team.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you guys designed a game for cosmetics only. That's really what they did. There's no power fantasy in this game whatsoever. That's out the door. Hopefully, they're getting it back.
Yeah.
You know, Chris Barrett says we want you to feel more powerful, and I am 100% on board with that. So they made a game based off of cosmetics, and maybe that's why people are so pissed off about Eververse, because it's all about cosmetics. It's all this game is about, is looking cool. That's it.
Yeah, you're right.
And that one helmet is badass. So yes, I will play to get that. And I'll look at the other ornaments, and if they're cool, I'll play. If not, then I'm out. Yeah. Because there is no reason for me to do any of that. You know, there are a lot of people right now that are just saying, and it's not. I mean, if you want people, Goth is saying this, Say No to Rage is saying this. I don't want to say Professor Broman because I never heard him say this, but I'm pretty sure he was talking with people. But is PvP a lost cause?
Expand on that.
Well, for example, everybody got their panties all twisted because ranked is coming out.
Yeah.
But if you don't change the core mechanics of the game, nobody's going to give a shit about ranked.
Oh yeah, of course.
You got to get rid of the team shooting.
Oh yeah.
Because if you go in there solo, it's not going to be fun. It's just not.
Nope.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? You have to change the core mechanics of how the game actually plays. Whether that's increasing time to kill or making certain weapons more powerful instead of nerfing everything. I mean, that's what the fundamental issues have to change.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Ranked PvP in private matches are not going to save PvP.
They have to change the sandbox. They really have to change like the core mechanics of PvP.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
so
I don't even know if that's going to be easy for them.
Well, but that's what I meant. That's what I meant, or when you said explain. Yeah. That's what I mean by that.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a hard task, but hey, they can do it, right? I hope they can.
I hope so, man.
Yeah, I hope they can. They did it before, so I know they can do it again.
They need to come out like when season 3 drops, the sandbox changes and the stuff for PvP. It needs to be like drastic, if you ask me. Like if they could do that and take it to that like more frenetic, like faster paced, the same as D1, bring in all of these like what am I on about? Ranked play, actually have a good progression system. If they can do it, it's going to be really, really big deal for this game because there are a lot of people, a lot of well-known people as well, the content creators, as well as the actual players who want that stuff. If you start getting people like Triple Rec back into PvP, Real Crafty, if they come back and enjoy this game, it will make such a huge difference to the community and the PvP side of the community as well. It's something that I feel like they can do it. They can get there. But like you guys said, it's a lot of work for them for sure. It's going to mean a ton of work.
Yeah. Because it seems like that they really built the team shooting aspect into the game as they were making D2. So it really seems like from an outsider, I think it's going to be hard for them to do. So we'll have to see.
Here's your competition right now. I don't know if you guys can you guys see that?
Kind of. Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Is
that Destiny 1?
That's Destiny 1, and that's Triple Rec right now streaming it.
Wow. Yeah, really? A lot of people are jumping back into D1
because because they enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. There's your problem right there. You got to get it back to that, or at least I don't want to say get it back.
Don't get it back to that. Get it better than that.
Right, there you go. Yeah, I don't want to say like if you get it back to D1 standards, that's going to fix all the problems. It's not going to fix the problems, but at least it gives you a baseline to work on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about Masterwork armor. So Masterwork armor will be coming next week in the update, and just like Masterwork weapons, all legendary armor has now the chance to drop as a Masterwork. So each armor piece, each Masterwork armor piece grants a 3% damage resistance while using a super. This stacks for a 15% damage reduction if you have a full set of Masterwork armor. Masterwork armor can be reworked to a different stat for 1 Masterwork core and 10 legendary shards. Are you guys excited for Masterworks? Houndish, you first, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for it. I think it's a good foundation. I'm looking forward to be able to re-roll the stats on gear, because that was always just insane to me, like having Hunter Prestige Leviathan gear with all mobility. Like it's just madness. So like that in itself is good. Damage reduction is good. I like just getting that glow to say it's a masterwork, you know. Like the completionist side of me likes that. Like I said, I think it's a beginning, but it needs a lot more work. Like it's gonna need a lot in the future. There is stuff they can do with it, but it's interesting because you got 2 systems at play. You've got masterwork armor, and then you've got mods as well. So like how they improve that or rework that in some way, like, you know, going forward maybe in September or something, it'd definitely be interesting. But I'd love to see masterwork armor actually have like some kind of upgrade path where you could ultimately end up with like 3 bonuses on that piece of armor, you know, whether it was like not grenades charge faster, but like subclass specific, or like ammo carry, ammo reload speeds for particular weapon types. Basically the perks we had in D1, but something that you'd unlock over time potentially, or could roll out randomly. I think that would be something else they could do.
And they did say that they are planning to update this system in the future, so I'm really curious to see how they can improve this and just see how it plays out in game, really. J-Ram, are you excited for Masterwork armor?
Not really. I mean, for me, this was the, you know, foul tip, the foul ball. I mean, being able to, you know, having a 3% damage increase or whatever it was, while in your super, is more of a PvP advantage as opposed to a PvE advantage. I mean, right now, I'm 335. If I pop my super in the raid layer, no matter, or even the raid itself, it takes a lot for me to die. Now, all you're going to do is just increase that. It doesn't really do much for me because I am more PvE. For the PvP people, I would imagine this is a good step up. But at the same time, how many supers can you get within a game?
That's true.
1,
right?
Maybe 2.
Fix that, yeah.
There you go. So once again, if you don't change the core mechanics, it's not going to really mean anything. It's you know what I mean? It's putting a bow on the same, you know, crappy present. That's all. Now, here's what it is. It's a step forward. This is something. Maybe it's the start of something great, a foundation. I think it was Paul Tassi that came out with that one awesome article that said, you know, if you happen to get all of the IO gear and you have all the IO gear equipped, if you have this one, or better yet, no. The example he used was Saint 14 gear. If you have the helmet and then gear that was related back to Saint 14, and then you had a shotgun on, you got this special gear set bonus like in a division. That's what they need to roll out, not +3 damage reduction. I mean, that's you know, but it opens the door for stuff like that, and that is exciting. That is exciting. It is opening the door because now we know they can do stuff like that. The question becomes, are they going to do that?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
It's gonna be a long 8 months until the fall 2018.
Yeah.
See how.
Oh yeah.
So
Definitely.
they are changing up the raid just a bit. They are adding raid perks. So now they're adding raid perks on mods. These mods can are legendary by default. Like we said earlier, these mods already appear in your inventory, correct? If you have the raid armor, is that how it's working?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. And just an example of the raid mod, is recharge your grenade when your super is active, deal 20% extra damage after getting a melee kill. Next up is when you clear the prestige raid, you now get prestige drops and normal drops. I feel like that was in D1. That was in D1, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You
because
did
when I
hard mode, you
read
got both
that,
drops.
I was like, I remember doing King's Fall on hard mode, and I remember getting the normal gear also and the hard mode gear. So,
Well,
they are bringing that back.
Well, yeah. Well, this is that shitty part where the community is going to say it should have been there from the start.
Yeah.
Raid perks should have been there from the start. And let's be honest, the raid perks really, we don't know what they are yet. But the two they offered, that to me, that's not a raid perk.
Really?
That's a legendary mod perk or legendary perk for a regular
Expand on that.
piece of armor.
Expand on that.
Well, for example, let's say you get the IO, you get a very specific piece of IO gear. Let's say it's the gauntlets, right? It's not just some regular, this is just a garbage, legendary, trash, whatever. This is legitimate IO gear. That should give you the 20%, damage increase after melee kill. In a raid, I'm expecting it to be specific to raid mechanics, or not raid mechanics, but raid things.
They did say that they didn't want that because they wanted something more broad.
Right, but if you want it more broad, then put it on the more broad items, not on the raid stuff. The raid stuff should be raid stuff. It should be, with this helmet equipped, do 50% more damage with your kinetic weapon to bathers. That's a raid perk. Not punch somebody and you get 20% damage. That is an overarching thing. And to Bungie's advantage, that's good because now you don't even have to go into the raid to get the raid gear. You can get a full set and never raid.
Yeah,
so
this is it.
I see their point where they wanted to make the raid gear universal, across the entire game. Fine. But in my opinion, you didn't have to use the raid gear for that. You could have used just regular legendary stuff. Just made it specific. This right here, Jay, would have been a perfect example of strike-specific loot. You get this one strike-specific loot, man. I'm trying to think here. No, this isn't fair, but it's an example nonetheless. You got the PlayStation exclusive strike, which has that fallen captain that disappears all the time, right?
No, that's not PlayStation exclusive.
That's not PlayStation exclusive?
No, PlayStation exclusive is a Taken strike on Earth.
You're right, it's a Taken one. Okay, even better then. Here's a strike that is available to everybody, and when you do a certain amount of damage to that boss, right? He goes invisible. Doesn't that sound like the Don't Touch Me's from D1?
Yeah.
Don't Touch Me's in D1. If you got meleeed by an enemy, you went invisible.
Yes.
How cool would that have been if that was the strike specific perk that you got on a pair of on his gauntlets, but it just wasn't for one. It just wasn't for your Titan. It was for all three classes, where you went invisible for 2 or 3 seconds.
Yeah, I just want to say
that's the stuff we're talking about.
I wish that strike was PlayStation exclusive because I hate that strike playing it on Xbox. I wish
Exodus
it was
Crash, is it?
Oh yeah, Exodus Crash.
Dude.
Oh, I personally.
I think everyone hates that strike.
Because it slows you down. It's like, no, you can't do what you want to do. I'm going to force you to play it the way I want you to.
Yeah.
The despawning is like really obnoxious in that strike.
Yeah.
Like I think it's worked before. Like Tanix or something like that from D1. It can work, but.
It just
you just
takes
gotta
too
tone
much
it down.
time. Like you could still speed run Tanix. With this, you can't really speed run that strike. And some people like to speed run strikes, and you just can't do that in Exodus Crash. And it sucks when it shows up 3 times in a row. But that's a whole nother different issue that they have to fix.
And they're fixing it. It's on the docket.
Yeah, well.
But do you guys see what I mean though? As far as like that 20% damage buff. If there's no power fantasy in the game, then what's that 20% gonna really do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it.
And I think you know what I mean. And I hate sounding like
I just want to
salt here, but I think about this stuff. That's all. You just think about it for a second.
Someone in chat just said bald dude got great points. That's why I'm laughing over here.
Oh man,
I do go by bald dude. That's my gang name, bald dude.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. That's just like,
I agree with you. Yeah.
About this stuff. It's just,
you want
to me, that's
more
generic,
race-specific perks.
It's just a generic.
Yeah, you want perks that actually ties in with the raid, like in or even the perk in Wrath of the Machine. I don't know if you guys remember. I think it was on the arms where if you kill like more heavy ammo dropped from fallen captains only. Even
no.
It was just any fallen enemies. It was just fallen enemies in general.
Yeah, it was ruined wings for every single class.
No. I'm talking about the Wrath of the Machine armor, the race specific armor. I remember that. Ruined Wings was an exotic, man.
Dude, no, you didn't hear what I said. It was Ruined Wings for every single class.
Oh, that's what she said. Sorry.
Yeah. It was basically doing like the same perk.
And that was a race specific perk because Fallen was everywhere. And
there you go. That's what I'm talking about.
See, I can see like more perks like
really
that.
Really well right now in Prestige Leviathan.
Yeah.
The current heavy ammo sandbox.
One last point on that. Have you guys realized that there is no Prestige Eater of World yet?
Not yet. They haven't talked about it yet.
Yeah,
I'm imagining it's there.
Yeah.
They just didn't release it yet.
Yeah. They have talked about it.
Confirmed, I think, that it's still a thing, but no date just yet.
Because they just went dark. Because we heard that there will be a Prestige version, and then they haven't said anything about it for like a month. So I was just like curious about that. But now also each raid encounter will always drop a raid piece. We'll just leave it at that. We're just gonna leave it at that.
Yep. I agree.
The raid vendors now sells a rotating selection of raid gear. I actually like this change. Well, new feature.
Could you say that again, Jay? You broke up a little bit on my end.
Oh, sorry. The raid vendor will now sell a rotating selection of raid gear. I actually like that new feature. Because in order to get it, you have to complete the raid for that week. And I remember I just could not get in Wrath of the Machine that raid scout rifle. It was so good. I just couldn't get it. So I actually like this change where, let's say you want the Midnight Coup and you've been trying to do the raid for weeks and you can't get it to drop, like it just won't drop for you. If the raid vendor is selling it, you go right there and you just purchase it. I actually like this change because you still have to do the raid that week. So it's not like it's just going to be for sale. So, yeah, I actually like that change. And
I can see the upside and the downside to that. The upside, Jay, is exactly what you said. The downside is, once you get everything, why even go back in anymore?
That's true.
You know what I mean? Once again, is this an RNG problem or is this a loot problem?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Houndus, do you have any thoughts on that? The raid vendor selling gear? Or it's just another
it's thing? Kind of... It's something we've moved towards in general, isn't it? Like the clan engram, you can get that stuff. But they do say, like if you want to buy the prestige chest armor, you need to complete prestige mode that week before you can do so. So I am glad that they're putting, some requirements onto it.
Yeah, a stopgap.
Yeah, that's it. Personally, I'd rather they didn't do it, but that's just my perspective.
I agree.
Like if it was a new raid and that armor was up for grabs and you could go buy it, if I hadn't had that piece of armor dropped, I wouldn't buy it. I would just play until I had it dropped personally. So I suppose like you kind of still get the choice, sort of, as an endgame player. Yeah, but I think some people kind of just immediately get disturbed at the fact that it is there. I could just buy it, but I don't want to get it that way, and they end up kind of just uncomfortable with the whole thing in a weird way. But yeah, it's an interesting change. I'm glad they've at least put some requirements on it for sure, especially with prestige stuff, because that stuff is hard to get. Like the prestige raid is really difficult. So
I am glad that they it's not mandatory. It's an option. Like you can do it or you just cannot. Like it's just up to you. So I do like that they're giving us options. That's one thing I like.
There's one thing that we haven't spoke about yet.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Jay, if you were going to skip it or if you didn't get to it yet, but it's the idea behind that the raid mods are transferable for a token. Like you could take, you know what I mean? Like if you switch gear.
I didn't highlight that. I must that.
That is an awesome quality of life improvement. I mean, that is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That should be. Now, why isn't that throughout mods all around? I don't know. There's probably a reason. But that is awesome. That you can, that mod does not go away. It's yours.
That's great. I'm actually glad you brought that up. For some reason, I did not highlight that. Oh, I did. How did I miss that? Yeah, swap back to your raid armor. Yeah, for one low price of one Callus token. Yeah.
Perfect. I have about 1,500 I got to get rid of.
I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot to say that. Nice.
Yeah.
And they're also adding an exotic raid ghost. It will be available from, well, not available. You have a chance of getting it at the end of Leviathan or the Eater of Worlds. So another piece of gear for you to go out and chase for.
Yeah, but did you notice what they said about that though, Jay?
It's not going to be like the Nano Phoenix.
Right. In other words, the more you play,
yeah,
it's going to look at that and say, okay, you've been playing, you still haven't gotten it, so it assigns it a higher weight or a better chance of you getting it, and then you should get it eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why can't they do that with the other gear?
Yep. And it seems like it's also going to have some brand new perks on it too, which is really cool. Yeah, so let's move on. So we do have a patch coming out on January 30th. It's going to fix the Prometheus lens. It's going to increase its base damage, and it's also going to add a new perk where they're changing a perk where it now generates ammo instead of pulling it from the reserves. And they're also adding heroic strikes completions now have a greater chance of granting exotic rewards. I felt like they should have did that when they first released heroic strikes. I feel like that's just like a clear
but
that's
isn't this just another like, oh, we're giving you everything, like it just seems like you can get everything so easy now in this game.
Well, I just see it as it's a harder activity. Well, heroic strike is not that hard, but it's just a harder activity, so you should get a chance of getting more or better rewards or something like that.
Right. I mean, let's be honest. You can buy legend or exotic stuff from Xur. Then they put in the Faded Engram, which gives you something that you don't have. Now they're increasing the exotics in in the raid and in the heroic strikes.
Don't forget there are coins. But
yeah, and it's like, do you guys not want me to play after I've collected everything?
But it's still options. Like, you don't have to buy the Faded Engram. You don't have to buy the 3 coins. It's just an option that's there.
But they're giving you this stuff in the other, you know what I mean, in the strikes.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, don't make everything so easy. I hate the fact that it almost seems like the reward system in this game is centered around the ethos of everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah.
You know, like
a lot of it is. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I didn't get everything in D1. Does it suck a little bit? Did I lose sleep over it at night? Absolutely not. Would it have been cool? Yes. But I just didn't. What was that one? What was the one coveted auto rifle from Trials of Osiris?
Doctrine of Passing. Oh,
never got it.
So happy when I got it.
Never got it.
I got 2.
Yeah, never got it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. I'm not going to go to Twitter and say, Bungie, you guys suck assholes because I didn't get this gun.
I did like the pathways for you to get it, though. Like, you have a chance of getting at the lighthouse at 7, I think it was 7 Winds, and or the bounty. So there were also like 3 pathways for you to have a chance of getting that, which I liked. It wasn't just streamlined of like, oh, you do this activity, you're guaranteed this, which I like that in some cases, but not all.
No, I agree. Jay, they gave me plenty of chances to go get it.
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Maybe I didn't play enough, and if I didn't play enough, that's on me.
Yeah.
But you know, at least it's on me.
The game just had this like really fantastic like push and pull like effect, you know, with like the loot.
That's a good way to put it, push and pull.
That's it. It was, I don't know, man. I don't know how they landed on it. Like, and it's really hard to, like, it is a difficult thing. Bungie put a lot of money into it, you know, investment systems going into Destiny 1. Like, companies spend tons of money, like, researching this stuff. That's another reason I'm so confused about, you know, like, all of that effort for, you know, Destiny 2's, like, the theory behind it is way more simplistic in terms of, like, drops and everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Destiny 1 systems, whatever they had going off there, like, the mix of randomness with weapons and armor, the questification of other things, and just, like, constant opportunity, but also stuff you cared about. Because that's a big part of it, isn't it? You have to care about the stuff to feel like, well, I might get this thing, like, I'm invested in it, you know? Yeah, the chase, it was just good.
Yeah. So, lastly, in the TWAB, they did talk about shaders a bit. They are searching for ways for us to be able to dismantle a large amount of shaders at once. They are also looking at ways for us, for them to kind of reintegrate the way shaders were back in D1 without losing the ability to equip shaders on guns, gold, ships, sparrows, and things like that, and your armor pieces. And they also understand that we want to be able to use shaders more freely and not limited to what we have in our inventory and things like that. So they are looking at shaders. From the development block from a few weeks ago, they did say that they're aiming to have that sorted out by the fall of 2018. Just things like that, which is a long way to go.
I don't know.
Or sooner. They did put that in parentheses.
I don't know if I mean, they listen, the write-up they gave us was nice, but I don't know if I buy their answer. And here, and if you guys remember from the TWAB, this is what they said, that if you break it down, it pulls in something, you know, since it's considered like a single item, it brings in something that gives you a single item rewards, like Glimmer. They use Glimmer as the example, correct? And then they said, if you're at the Glimmer cap and you dismantle a shader, they want to be able to give you that Glimmer, but if you're at the cap, then you don't get the Glimmer, right? And they thought, you know, they said, this is not what we believe in. Guys, if you're at the Glimmer cap now and you break down a piece of legendary gear, you don't get the Glimmer for it.
No.
It goes away. So what are they trying to tell me then? Like, if they're using the Glimmer cap as an example, I've just disproved what they're saying with an example.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, you still get legendary shards. So maybe that's their yeah, but you still get the legendary shards. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's what they're. If I was talking to somebody on the dev team, and they said, "Oh no, you know, you don't get the Glimmer because you're at the cap, but you still get these legendary shards, so it's okay." Now, why can't? I mean, they gave me the option to lock a gear, correct?
Yes.
If you go to break down a piece of exotic gear, the bar that fills up goes much slower than a piece of legendary gear. So why can't they speed up the bar on the shader gear, or on the shader dismantle? If you know what I mean? You showed me that it's this fast. If it's something exotic, it goes much slower. Why can't you increase something to go much faster?
Yeah. I'm sure there's probably a technical reason. Like, I think there's probably some technical reasons behind, like, I don't know, calculation or something with, you know, like if you were getting all those materials. I feel like that is probably a part of it. But ultimately, I think the shader system is just fundamentally just bad. This is stupid. Just scrap it. Honestly, I think they should just scrap the current system.
It's
like,
bad.
Too many moving parts for something which is just, you know, like.
Are you guys familiar? Are you guys familiar with the Rube Goldberg machine?
No.
What a Rube Goldberg machine is basically this. You create the most complicated system that you can to create or to do a very basic task.
Yeah.
For example, putting ketchup on a hot dog.
You're full of analogies.
Well, no, but no.
I know.
Yeah, but this is legit. This is legit. So, you know, what you could do is have a domino that pushes over a bunch of dominoes, and then that last domino pushes a little, you know, a ball bearing that goes down a track that hits the bottom of a hammer, and the hammer falls over, and it knocks this car into the air, and that car hits something that you know, hits an actuator, and it squeezes mustard onto the hot dog. You know, and it's a way to get kids to think critically, is what it is. All right, it's a way to get them to think critically. That's what the shader system feels like. It's like, why is this so complicated?
Yeah.
Now, I get that they want to be able to control, you know, hey, we want you to use this shader on the arms, and this shader on your legs, and this shader on the helmet. I get all of that, you know, but it's like there had to have been a better way to do it. And once again, when you design a game that is zero power fantasy and everything is cosmetic, this is what you get, because they want you to go ahead. Hey, I've asked Mr. Barrett already on Twitter, and I'm going to start stepping up my game and asking him every day, will there be a day that we are allowed to buy legendary shaders from the vendors within the tower and on their respective planets? Because right now, the only legendary shaders you get are when you turn in like a token, Everversed, or if you do like the raid and stuff like that. Yeah. All of the really cool legendary shaders, you know, like Watermelon, for example, Everversed. You got to pay for it. Almost every single legendary shader is locked behind Everversed.
Yeah.
And that's just bad. That right there, that shows me that the design they had for this game, the outlook that they had for this game was to put in microtransactions.
Yeah. Oh yeah, now, definitely.
You know, now they did. Hey, the only good thing they did was they gave me a clear path on how to get the shader that I wanted, given the fact that they only give me 2. You know, right now it's like Watermelon and Metro something, I think it is. It's like a blue shader. Which if I have some dust from getting a Bright Engram, I can go buy a shader. And the shaders are cheap. They're like 40 whatever the dust is, you know, which is okay. I mean, I'm cool with that. So that's nice, but why can't you open up all the shaders for that then? Not just 2 of them, because they want you to buy the loot boxes.
Yeah, that's it, man. Unfortunately.
Yeah. They could do better. Yeah. Bungie can do better. They've done better before.
We're about to dive into that talk, but I do just want to say really quickly that next week they are going to lay out their plan. They're going to give us a graphical roadmap of what's coming up in the next few weeks and months ahead. So hopefully they will talk to us about the next expansion and what's coming out like just in the future. I'm really glad that they are. Like, I think the communication that was in this TWAB was great, and I hope they continue to improve, because there's always room for improvement. So I'm really excited to see that roadmap that will be coming out next week in the TWAB. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah.
Houndish, you okay over there? It's late for you, buddy.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Houndish. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. No, sorry. Like when you said about that, I hadn't heard about that, so I was just scrolling through like graphical roadmap.
It's at the end of the TWAB. Yeah, I'm excited to see.
They had one before.
Which I really want them to continue.
Like once.
It was a month. Yeah, it was during month 1, and then they stopped. And
remember how cool that was?
I thought it was like, wow, this is the type of communication that we want. And then in October, they just went dark. Like, they went dark between October, the whole month of October. It was like, what's going on, Bungie? And
I guess they fired a guy that knows how to run Photoshop.
Right. Yeah, I think that's kind of the point where they just sort of snagged and were like, we don't entirely know what we're gonna do, because we're trying to launch a DLC and everyone seems to be getting angrier, and we're kind of scared.
Indeed.
There's people lining up at the gates with pitchforks and fires.
Right.
Yeah,
man.
All right, so let's move on to our last article of the night, which is an article from CNBC, and the title of the article is Activision's Destiny 2 is struggling as gamers are unhappy over microtransactions. So the article talks about that a lot of content creators are leaving D2, like leaving the community, which I would not say they're leaving the community. They're just taking a break from the game. So I do disagree with that wording inside the article. And they're talking about that people are starting to realize that the Twitch viewership for the game has dropped from 4,000 to 7,000 like it used to. Well, that's how it is now. It's averaging from 4,000 to 7,000, sorry. And then back in D1 1 year ago, it was averaging between 14,000 and 17,000. So
and that was at the end of the game's life cycle.
Yeah, that was the end of the game life cycle. We also know that the Trials of the 9 player population has dropped a lot, which back during D1, even this late into the game's life, it was still alive and well. It was still pretty live and well. So I have a question for you guys. Do you guys think that there is actually a problem with Eververse? Because I remember during month 1 of D2, it seems like no one really talked about Eververse too much, and that is because everyone was still chasing the gun drawer and all, and just things like that. So is there really a problem with Eververse, or is there just a problem with there's no meaningful loot in the game? So Houndish, I'm gonna give that question to you, man.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem with the game is the lack of like depth and meaningful loot that is actually, you know, tied to gameplay and progression.
Yeah.
In the game, that's the number one problem. And I think it probably serves to highlight how Eververse has taken that spot. But I think it's a model, you know, to narrow down the depth of progression systems and Investment in games now, to try and sell stuff out of loot boxes, you know. It's kind of like a boredom selling tactic. Now, I think there probably is an element of that with the development of Destiny 2. But also I think a big chunk of it is just that they didn't have the content or a plan for the content.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say the more fundamental issue is the game itself, not necessarily Eververse.
Yeah.
But it's the combination of those things, when you strip away a lot of stuff that's really meaningful to your community, and then bump up something, which people don't like to begin with. It's not safe territory to walk into when you push a big game out like this.
Oh yeah.
So,
J-Ram.
Yeah, like I said, I don't like microtransactions as it is. I'm paying $60. Some people paid $60, some people paid $100, some people paid $249 for your game. Yeah. And then you're going to ask them to spend more money based, in the game itself. If the game is free to play, microtransactions, fine. I didn't pay anything to play it. I'm cool with that. Yeah. The fact of the matter is, and I agree with SkillUp. If you guys are familiar with his YouTube channel, loot boxes themselves are inherently predatory. They are. It's like pulling a slot machine, and if you don't get what you want, you put $5 back in and you pull the slot machine again. If given a clear path on what I want, like if I want that one shader, let me buy it. Here is $5 for 5,000 worth of silver, and make my $1 worth 1,000 silver. So it's, or 100 silver. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio. You know what I mean? I don't have, like I said, I don't like microtransactions, but if they're going to be in here, and if this is the devil that I have to dance with, because, well, let's be honest, microtransactions are never going to leave anymore. They're always going to be in games. Always. Yeah. Because as a community, we didn't push back enough when they first introduced them. So now they're here to stay. Yep. That being said, just give me the pathway to get what I want.
Yeah.
To piggyback off of what XHOUNDISHx said, and he's absolutely right. As soon as you realize everything in the game, and you strip that all out of your like emotional response, and you look at it objectively, there's really not a lot. So the only thing that was a constant, and even if you guys look at it, man, it's still that Eververse store. I mean, look at what the raid perks are going to give you. You're going to get an increased chance of getting a bright engram. Where does that bright engram lead you right back to? Lead you right back to Eververse.
Yeah, Eververse. Yeah.
What's the easiest way to sell something to someone? Keep putting it in their face. Yeah. That is why you see. That is why you can drive down the road and see a McDonald's every mile. And yet, in between that mile, you'll see a damn, billboard. Yeah, that has people eating McDonald's, loving it.
And you cannot forget also that they're the ones who also control the RNG in Bright Engrams, and they also control the XP of how much XP you get, which is a whole different story about the way they handle XP and all. And we do know that there are some changes that are coming to Eververse, such as they are putting some things such as ghosts and sparrows and ships back into the loot pool from activities and things like that.
This is like playing poker, and the dealer already knows your cards, and they know their cards.
Yeah.
Like how is that even fair?
Yeah.
Right.
So in the article, analyst Doug Crutez, I apologize, Doug, if I'm saying your name wrong. He also shared some 4 key reasons why he believes that D2 is not doing too well. And the first reason is design decisions were made that have made D2 less engaging and just less fun than D1. The next reason he gave is microtransactions implementation. And the next reason is the Bungie's apparent urgency in responding to player feedback has been disappointing, which is true. And then the fourth reason is Bungie did a poor job communicating its roadmap going forward compared to other live game services and just things like that. So, J-Ram, I'm just gonna throw it over to you, man. What is your opinion on this? On these 4 reasons?
I'm not gonna say most, but there are some people out there in this world that hate their hate their in-laws. All right.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law is one of the smartest women I've ever met. And she has a phrase, and this phrase is exactly what every game developer, every person, every single individual in this world should have above their doorway as they leave the house.
Tell us the phrase, man.
If you fail to plan, plan to fail.
Ah.
And that's exactly what this is about.
Yeah.
If you fail to plan, plan to fail.
Mm-hmm.
The game is lackluster at best.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not saying anything or being overly critical that other people haven't already said as far as it's a shader game. The game is all about cosmetics. What else? What are they going to do? Reskin this and reskin that? Everything's a reskin.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything that hasn't been said. It's not like I'm making this stuff up. All right. So, Doug's 4 points, I think he nailed it on the head.
Yeah.
And it's a waterfall effect.
Mm-hmm.
What, Jay, can you give me the first point again?
Design decisions.
Case in point.
Decisions. Yeah.
This is the community saying that shit should have been in the game from the start.
Mm-hmm. And these are analysts saying that. People on Wall Street, people who are invested into Activision, like these are people like shareholders, and they've realized that, hey, there's a problem here. And when they start to realize that, Bungie and Activision are gonna get their mess together and fix it, because these are people who invest in the company and they like to see their money go up, not down.
Yep. Well, the first point was design decisions. What's the second one?
Microtransactions implementation.
Okay, so here's the waterfall effect. Number one, design decisions were bad. You made the game cosmetic only. Yeah. So now it funnels everybody to the Eververse. What's the third point?
Bungie's apparent urgency in responding to player feedback has been disappointing.
That's nothing new. We experienced that for 3 years in D1.
Yeah. And it got good at one point. It was great at one point, and then it was good right back down.
It was good for a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
If you really think about over the lifespan, it was good for a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now the "we are listening" thing is now a meme.
Yeah.
It really is.
To me,
So you got point 1, point 2, and point 3, and if you notice, they all start to build upon each other, which leads to the fourth point, which is
Bungie did a poor job communicating its roadmap going forward compared to other live game services, and we could compare that to Fortnite. You see how Fortnite is doing.
Yep.
Epic Games, they're great at communicating and things like that.
Yep. And we say it all the time. The only game that's going to kill Destiny is Destiny itself.
Exactly. No game, no other studio can kill this game other than Bungie. We all know that.
But I can tell you this: if Anthem is good,
they got
it's going to suck players away. Fortnite sucked players away.
Yeah.
You got Sea of Thieves, and now you got Monster Hunter coming out.
Yeah.
Are they going to suck players away?
There's a lot of I don't know if this is me being selfish, but I'm happy that D2 is not that engaging right now, because there's so many other good games coming out. Like, I remember I did not put D1 down for months. Between Taken King and April update, that's the most fun I've ever had in that game. And that was the most driest months. It was nothing to do, but I still had fun. There was still so much to do, for me at least, and things like
that.
Gentlemen,
this goes to both of you. The scariest thing that could happen to this game just may happen. Bungie said go out and play other games. Well, guess what, Bungie? That's what we're doing. You better hope we come back for yours.
I remember when they said that.
Yeah.
That's a scary thing. That's why I said, Jay, a long time ago, who the hell would say that?
Yeah.
Right.
If I'm making cheeseburgers, I don't want you going to the chicken place. I want you to come back to my place every single day.
Yeah.
It shows how relatively confident Bungie must have been at the time.
Absolutely. And is it confident or cocky? Which is?
I think there's an element of both with Bungie at times.
I think you're right. I agree. I heard somebody once describe this. I think it was Colin Cowherd, which XHOUNDISHx. I know you don't know who that is. He is a sports talk show host in the United States. And
nice.
He goes, you got basically you have two types of individuals in sports. Mm-hmm. You got the cocky guy, and then you got the confident guy. Mm-hmm. And I think what he said was the cocky guy is the young guy who thinks he can do everything, and the confident guy is the guy on top of the mountain that knows he can do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And you don't want to confuse those two, because you can't have confidence without being cocky first.
I agree. Yeah.
Which when I thought about that, I'm like, boy, that's a really interesting take on it. Mm-hmm. Because everybody automatically assumes cocky with being bad. No, cocky could be a good thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know what I can do. You know, I know my athletic ability or my thought process. I know I can write a paper, stuff like that. I know I'm good at that. Now, is that considered cocky or confident? I don't know. That, you know, that's for the public to decide. And quite frankly, I don't care what they say.
Yeah.
You know, I don't lose sleep over. I got other things to do.
Yeah.
But Houndish, that's really awesome that you brought that up. Was it cocky by them or is it confident by them?
Yeah. I like
Ooh,
that.
That's insightful.
Yeah.
I like.
So
Appreciate
one
it.
last point on this before we go into our ending question is, how does this will be for you, man. The analyst says that he's not optimistic that the company will be able to turn the Destiny franchise around. And he says, and that's a quote from him, and he also says, we're not sure they have the ability to pull it off at this point. What are your thoughts on that? And these are analysts, people on Wall Street, shareholders saying this.
I think it's probably based on the way Bungie have handled things since the launch of the game. That's probably the number one, that's going to be the number one reason that they're saying that. It's not because Bungie don't have the resources or, Bungie are a bad development team. It's probably, a pretty big question of the leadership of Bungie in itself, to be honest. I think that's the main sort of comment about it.
Houndish.
Yeah.
You have $10,000 to invest, and you're looking at Bungie, and then that comment came out. Do you still invest in Bungie?
No, I would just go elsewhere.
Think about what he said. That is a scary statement.
That is a scary statement. Yeah.
There are titles that are practically guaranteed to, give you more return at this point. You could carefully go in on something like Anthem.
And that is why
and
the
absolutely
pressure...
guarantee yourself a return if you were clever about it, because the game is going to sell relatively well at base, regardless of what happens. Destiny 2, second biggest console launch. Look where we are.
And that is why the pressure is on right now for BioWare. Jay, I'm just going to throw it over to you, man.
I'm
points on this.
No, I don't really have many points on this.
Yeah.
That is by far the scariest statement that I've ever read based off of this game.
I agree.
For somebody to sit there and tell investors, listen, we don't think they can pull this around. That's telling investors, invest at your own risk because this may not work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
maybe I'm looking too far into it. I don't know.
No. It's not looking too far into it. But these are people on Wall Street. Like, these are people who are investing in the company. These are people who are making money off the company, and that is why this is so scary. This isn't some journalist saying this. This is an analyst.
That statement in and of itself tells me that they have zero confidence. And the people at Bungie right now.
And I just want to say this. If you don't think there's an issue with D2 right now and you see this comment and you still don't think that there's an issue, then there's something clearly wrong with how you're looking at this situation. Because when people and shareholders and I think this is so big because, again, these are shareholders saying this. We do know that the Activision CEO is departing. We don't know why he's departing, but we do know that he's leaving in March. I don't know why he's leaving, but he is leaving the company on good terms, like they said. But hopefully the new CEO is able to turn things around with their contract and things like that. I hate to end our show on that negative point, but it is something that has to be said and things like that.
Well, I don't think it's negative. I really, I mean,
it's just
here's what I think it's more eye-opening.
Yeah, than
anything else.
That's how we're gonna end it.
It's more eye-opening.
It's definitely eye-opening.
It's pressure on for Bungie, isn't it? It's the first time, it's vindication of everything the community has said, about the game, really.
Absolutely.
But I think it's worth bearing in mind that this is from a financial perspective.
Exactly.
So it's not the equivalent of saying, come September, you guys in the community aren't going to have a better game.
Right.
It's not the equivalent of saying that. It's basically they're saying there's nothing to suggest that it is worth putting your money in here right now. That doesn't necessarily mean that we don't get good content ultimately. But yeah, it's of course it's earning back that engagement that makes the kind of money a game like Destiny makes, because that's what they want. People investing into a game into something like this, they want big return, you know, and anything other than big return, which cannot be guaranteed right now, you know.
Right.
You know.
And that's why I said maybe I'm looking too far into it. Maybe that comment is for the people that want a big ROI instead of a little ROI.
Yeah, I would imagine most people getting in on that, you know, on something of this level probably want very big returns. I mean, it's still, you know, obviously there are still big. Absolutely. There are still huge implications to it. But, you know, Bungie aren't going to get off lightly with failing to resolve this situation. We'll put it that way. There's going to be some big, difficult conversations, probably ongoing right now inside of Bungie. You know, I think a lot of things will change after September of this year.
I hope so.
Not only for the game, but probably for Bungie and Activision.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It's like they wanted to bring back those casual players who left the game, and they brought them back, and now they lost the hardcore players. Well, some hardcore players, and now it's really going to be hard for them. I think it's going to be hard for them to bring back those hardcore players and just things like that. So I am curious to see what happens in these next 8 months. It's going to be a rocky year. It's going to be a really rocky year, guys. J-Ram, final point?
No. I was just, no. I don't want to say because it'll come off salty. I'm gonna just if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all.
Thank you. Nice. All right, guys. So final question of the night. We haven't said like a final question in a while, so I am gonna bring back our food question. So what is your favorite meat? Your favorite type of meat? I'll go first. I'm J-Ram.
Do you not see the sexual innuendo in that question, Jay?
I realized. I'll go first. You're supposed to be better than this.
This is like serious.
What is your favorite type of meat?
Oh my god.
He saves this for the latter part of the show as well. God. Right?
Yeah. My face is red. I'm crying.
I really enjoy hamburgers. I love hamburgers. And I found a spot in New York that turns a hamburger into a burrito. They put the French fries in it. They chop up the hamburger meat and all that. So I really have to go there. And they're also opening up two Chick-fil-A's here in New York, which is going to rip my wallet apart. Because when I travel to Florida, which I cannot wait in a few weeks, I love Chick-fil-A. So it's going to be bad. And it's close to me. There's one in Grand Central, which is perfect for me to get home, and one on Fulton where I work. So it's definitely going to be great. So J-Ram, question. You know what? Now, HOUNDISHx, I'm going to throw it over to you, Matt. What is your favorite type of...
I'm going to be honest. I'm a vegetarian.
Nice.
For
what are you eating?
Jay.
I'm sorry.
For a combination of reasons, but that doesn't mean to say I'm not a huge fan of meat, so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's gonna laugh again. But yeah, steak, dude. I would say steak is like the one thing that if it was like, you know, like as a vegetarian that likes meat, like if you could just go ahead and eat meat right now, what it'd be? Nice juicy steak, man.
Yeah. So as a vegetarian, what are you eating? I'm just curious to know, like, as a vegetarian, what meals are you eating?
All kinds of stuff, man. Like, nice. I'll eat pretty much anything with rice, lots of rice, like lots of just mixed vegetables, but also way too much like bread and cheese when I'm being lazy, because that's just like the only option unless you like want to actually go to effort to make food.
Do you eat fish?
I don't eat fish, no.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Is that because he lives in England, J-Ram?
What's that?
Is that because he lives in England?
Fish and chips, dude. That's a very popular dish in England.
Yeah,
that's true.
Fish and chips,
that's
man.
True,
it's pretty much the thing.
England is basically an island.
Yeah, it is. Well, basically
it is. By fish.
It is.
There is nothing but fish.
That's true. Yeah.
And the reason why I'm asking you this is because, like I told you before the podcast, you know, my honeymoon, I went to Ireland and to England, and my wife and I got fish and chips. And the tartar sauce is entirely different from the tartar sauce in America.
Really?
Oh, Jay, it is unbelievable.
Yeah.
See, in America, tartar sauce, at least what I'm accustomed to. Now, I grew up really poor and everything. So tartar sauce to us was mayonnaise and some pickles.
Yeah,
You know,
I made
you throw it
homemade
together.
tartar sauce. Yeah, it's good. Tartar sauce.
It's completely different the way
wow.
they make it over there. It's still excuse me, it's still like a mayonnaise base, but there's capers in it. There's some garlic and stuff. And Jay, it was so good that the restaurant that we went to, I wrote like a 3-page paragraph, or I mean a 3-paragraph, 1 page on how good the food was there and why it was so good and how it was different from where I am. Jay, I swear to God, I got an email. Over 1,000 people have looked at that review and commented on it. And it's like one of those reviews where it's like you did really good and everything.
Nice. Look at you being all popular,
dude. I'm telling you, it was entirely different. And that's why I was just asking, because over in England it's the same flavor of tartar sauce as it is in Ireland, and it was phenomenal. It was just amazing.
Sweet. So now, what is your favorite meat, J-Ram? Your favorite type of meat?
Oh, I'm just like Houndish. I love steak. Nice. I get it medium rare. You know, I don't. Blood is okay with me. I don't care.
Nice.
You know,
I'm a burger person. I love burgers. I love burgers, man.
Jay, once again, I grew up really poor, so to me, like I've eaten gourmet burgers before, and I'm like, this is just. It's too much. So, and this is gonna be the shittiest thing. Oh yeah, this would be the shittiest thing I ever say about meat. But to me, a really good burger is McDonald's, and it's the worst ever. I get that. I know people are gonna sit there and go, "That J Ram's an asshole and an idiot," and I agree with them when it comes to that statement. So if people are like, "Oh, let's go get a burger," I'm like, "Cool, we going to McDonald's?"
It's your personal opinion. Yeah, it's your personal opinion.
You can't go wrong with it with a medium rare steak where the blood's coming out, or prime rib. Oh, prime rib is good. You know, steak is good if done. You know.
Yeah. I like that. All right, guys.
All right. I'll shut up.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Destiny Tracker podcast. Thank you so much, Houndus, for joining us this week. It was an amazing
thank you
show.
So much.
As always, J-Ram, thank you so much. We are going above over 2 hours right now, which was not the intended time. But it was just so much news this week, and we got through everything, all my points that I had highlighted and stuff. So, great show, guys. Thank you guys so much. So, Houndish, where can we find you on social media, man?
You can find me on Twitter at Houndish or xHOUNDISHx. I still have the X's because I'm a scrub. Or you can find me on YouTube.
At least it's not 2 X's, like xHOUNDISH, XX.
xHOUNDISH, XX, Captain Noob, MLG. Or you can find me on YouTube. Just search for Houndish, and you'll probably find some scrubby guy playing a little bit of Destiny.
I highly recommend his YouTube videos,
not
guys.
scrubby, but YouTube. I mean, just type in Houndish, and you come up instantly. You're the #1 hit.
Houndish, your YouTube videos are amazing. Just thank you so much for everything that you do in this community. Thank you so much. Great YouTube content. Highly recommend.
Super kind of you.
I like to listen to your videos when I'm I'm like laying down in bed getting ready to like fall asleep. I'll play some Switch, and you have a way of saying better. Like when I say better, it's better. Oh, but you say it, you're like better. At least that's better. Well, it's your accent that I can hear. You know, it's the English accent, and Skill Up also does it. And when I listen to it, it's like very pleasing. You have a very good voice.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely. That's why your when you narrate your videos, it's so easy to listen to.
You know, I come from the city that has the worst rated accent in the entire of the UK.
Listen, dude, I'm from New York. I have a New York accent, all right?
Dude, where I live,
I love those accents.
Where I live, we have our own words, like yins. Did you ever hear that? Yins?
No, isn't that like a currency? Is that not like a currency?
Yeah, I thought that was like...
I thought like that's a currency.
Yins, I'll use it in a sentence. Okay, ready? There's a group of people. I walk up to them and I go, "What are yins doing?"
Oh, okay.
Yins is you all. Like y'all, but it's only Pittsburgh people use that. Yins.
You guys are weird.
Oh yeah, here. There's another one. You ready?
All right.
The carpet's dirty, right? There is a device that you use. You plug into the wall, okay?
A vacuum cleaner.
What is that device called to help you clean the carpet?
A vacuum cleaner.
We don't call it a vacuum here. We call it a sweeper.
Well, yeah. Well, there are also sweepers. Yeah, I have a sweeper. It's the thing.
No. Your people think a sweeper is like a broomstick or something like that. We call the vacuum the sweeper.
All right.
Well, when you want to clean up your room, we don't say clean up. We say red up.
Right.
Oh,
interesting, man.
Interesting. J-Ram, just break can we find you on social media, man?
I'm telling you, Google Pittsburgh Ease. Google Pittsburgh Ease, and there's a shitload of words that we use that nobody else in the country uses.
Interesting.
Now you can find me on social media at J_Rambo9119. Very simple.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah. All right. You guys can find me on Twitter at J_DTR. Destiny Tracker on Twitter at Destiny Track. On YouTube at Destiny Tracker and the Tracker Network. And on Twitch at Destiny Track. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the DTR podcast. Houndish, again, thank you so much, man, for joining us this week. Awesome show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. Thank you again for, I know it's late and everything.
Yeah, I know. I apologize about that.
Pleasure. Really appreciate it.
It's all good.
We will be back next week with Professor Broman, so another awesome show that we are planning for you guys. It's going to be great. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. My name is Jay, and we will see you all next week. Bye, Guardians.
Later.
Peace.